Welcome to the Clifton Worley Show. This week we have Josh and Nick with us. What's up, guys?
Hey Clifton.
Hey, Clifton.
Guys, it's been an interesting week, and we've got a lot to talk about. That's what's new going on, and so, um, Josh, why don't you kind of give us a heads up? What's going on new with you, man?
Well, I kind of went through a big change this week. I've been thinking about buying one of those ES-125 kits from Fretwire and making one after doing my Silvertone project. And then I just was thinking one day at work, and all of a sudden it just hit me. You know what? I really love my first guitar, my Alvarez. I love the neck on it. I love the way it feels. And I've got a really nice acoustic already. I don't see the need to buy something that's like in between the two that won't do either perfectly. And I like my Talman, but I want something else, a secondary guitar for different things that has a slightly different sound. And so I brought out my Alvarez. I played it a little bit. And I thought, I'm going to have Nick from Great Lakes Pickups make me a set of pickups. And so I started talking to him just casually. I said, hey, um, I love my guitar, but it doesn't really sound the way I want it to. It's too ice picky in the bridge. I kind of want to make everything sound nice and even and well rounded and no ice pick sound. But I really want that classic kind of, if you play a Nashville Telly, one of those with the noiseless Fender pickups in them. I kind of like that sound, but I want it to be more smooth and more, rounded and gentle. And if you listen to like those old R&B things where they use single coils, that's what I was looking for. And so I just talked to him and I sent him some samples, and I made a recording of my Alvarez unamplified acoustically. And he kind of just told me, yeah, I know what you want. You want this, this, and this. You want a you want a bass plate on the treble pickup on the bridge pickup, and you want probably this one wound a little bit more vintage and this one wound a little bit more vintage. I'm going to use the 52 wire, and I'm going to use El Nico 3s. And then just before he ordered, thankfully I got him, and I told him, hey, I don't want staggered pole pieces because it's got a 12-inch radius. And so staggered pole pieces won't work for that. And so it was just a really, really fun, painless process. And I certainly hope, now I don't have the pickups yet, but I'm pretty sure that I'll like them. The only thing I'm not sure about, he's kind of encouraging me to do only wax potting on the bridge pickup, but I kind of want wax potting on everything. I'll have to talk to him about that because I want it to be quiet,
Yeah,
as quiet
you
as
okay,
possible.
so I different worlds, right? I Mine are so the way he pots, he doesn't actually wax pot, he dips in urethane
Yeah.
the old way. And so my Strat pickups are potted because Strat pickups are noisy. My humbucker is not potted and I love it. But I don't know, with Strat pickups, and I know you, and you, if you ever want to play that in church or whatever, like you should probably pot them.
Yeah, that's what I
I
think I'm going
think.
to tell him. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what's new with me. It's really a big shift because I was really gung ho. I was even thinking about going up to Traverse City Guitar Company and trying out. They have a couple of the new Godins in there, the Fifth Avenues, and
Yeah.
I was thinking about trying out one of those. But I remembered when I was in Nashville, I really didn't care for the necks on those.
Hmm.
So I thought, I got two guitars I love, and I've got an acoustic. What more do I need? Well, now I'm going to sell the PRS and go look for an Alto Trooper, some kind of powered simple PA system speaker, and that's what I'm going for. So, what about you, Clifton? What's new with you?
Well, a lot of things. Some of it's gear related, some of it's not. I tell you one thing. We've got this thing at my church where we're gonna do play an outdoors thing Saturday, and so I've been gearing up all week for that. And you know, uh, when you're trying to piece together equipment and get everything pulled, so today I spent like the majority of the day like pulling all my gear so it could go for loadout Saturday morning. And so real stoked about that. It'll be fun to. I don't get to do that too much. Haul out a sound system and hook it all up like that from scratch. So that's actually my idea of fun. So it'd be fun to go do that. As far as gear, um, I decided. Now I did a live stream this week of the Mesa because yeah, I was driving around on my lunch break, coming back from getting some lunch, and it occurred to me that, you know, Cliff 2 or 3 years ago would have turned that Mesa on and saw what was wrong with it. Like, he wouldn't have just sent it to a tech, without doing some investigating on his own. And so I was like, where'd that guy go? So I turned that thing on to test it and see what would happen. And man, did it do something weird. And it made this loud screeching noise after about being on for about a minute after it got heated up. And I flipped it off, and I was like, you know what? This needs to go to a tech. And then the next day, I was thinking, you know what? Like, why don't I just put this thing on reverb and see if I get any interest? And I was just telling you guys earlier this evening that, like, I got hit with like 3 offers, like right off the bat, like as soon as I listed this thing. And now I'm like, maybe I should wait and see what I get, what I'm asking for it, or closer to it, and not just settle, because I've never listed something on Reverb and got hit like immediately. And I mean, like I described, this thing was junked out basically, and all the issues, and took pictures, and was like, well, maybe I ought to just wait a week or so, and then if nothing happens, then I can, see if somebody who made a previous offer is interested again or whatever, and I might deal with them. So did that, and put the Duo Sonic up just to see if I got any interest on it. I've had one person message me about the frets, like they wanted me to take extra close-ups of the frets to make sure they didn't need like a fret job done. But I'm kind of on the fence about that guitar. Like, I don't hate it and I don't love it. Like, I just don't know how I feel about it. And part of me wants to kind of keep it around, because I'm thinking, that might be a decent guitar if my girls get interested in guitar.
Yeah.
But then part of me is like, you know what? If they really get interested, I wouldn't mind, getting them something that's not quite as junked out. So
that one plays great though, and I mean, when you were playing it, it sounded awfully good.
yeah. So
I don't see why you don't just leave it in the church's youth room or something like that, or keep it at your office or somewhere, so that if you do decide to give lessons, that'd be a great guitar to just have.
Yeah.
Hey, you can come take your first couple lessons with me and just play for, that short scale and stuff would be great for a kid.
Yeah.
Especially if you put the right strings on it,
Yeah. I don't have a lot invested in it, so it's not like I'm sitting on anything that's, so I put it out there just to see, and it hasn't really made a bunch of waves, so I may hold on to it. We'll see. But the Mesa needs to go.
It's funny about the Mesa is I pretty sure I was watching that acoustic rig rundown of Roy Rogers from the Delta Rhythm Kings, and I'm pretty sure that's the head version of the amp he uses.
Oh, wow.
I'm almost positive.
Oh, wow.
He uses the brown face boogie like that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I think that's a pretty sought after amp, and you're going to get rid of it. But you're probably making the right call. I mean, you've got enough stuff. I mean, you get enough projects. You're getting a really nice guitar. You've got amps that are nice. I mean, you just got that nice Fender amp that I don't know if you're still playing it or what, but that's nice. You got your living tone. You got enough stuff.
Yeah.
You don't really, and you got 4 kids. You don't really need an amp project right now.
No.
No.
And you need your eyebrows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you fired that up, I was like, no.
Did you hear that? I love that sound. I've heard that sound before, and I cannot place it. I think it was just about when my RCA amp, my PA amp almost blew up. Like that sounded like a cap burning.
Yeah.
Like some caps burning.
Well,
I would be almost
I
positive
experienced
it's
that before on my Alamo amp that I had, and what I had done, like, it wouldn't turn on, and I'd sourced a power transformer to put on the thing, and it turned on, and I had it, and I was playing. I was getting like minimal output because I think it was like somewhere along in the circuit it was getting too much resistance or something.
Yeah.
and with it on about a minute or so, it started making that loud squeal, and I couldn't get it turned off quick enough,
Oh.
and one of the caps actually did like smoke and catch on fire. So I think that's probably what the sound of a filter cap going out.
Yeah, probably so. But that's, I mean, somebody who knows what they're doing and doesn't care about their eyebrows, can fix it, and they won't they won't have to worry about their mustache because it's already been burned off, So
Yeah.
I think you'll be all right
So
selling that thing.
so yeah, right now I'm just waiting on that cower to come in. I'm still probably another 3 or 4 weeks on that, and but I'm excited to get my hands on that. Hopefully, by the end of April or so is what I'm looking at. So
Man, that's gonna be cool.
yeah, so that's really all that's going on as far. I did want to talk about this. Um, the other night I had one of those full circle moments. Okay, like I've talked about those full circle moments where you kind of come back to where you once were, and you realize it in your mind. Uh, the other night I play every Tuesday night over at the student union at the college, and they had the guy who was in the band with me when I used to play in college. Uh, he was able to come and he played bass, and we had a guy on a drum kit. He had this modified kit where he had taken like a kick that was mounted to a cajon,
Huh.
and he was playing that, but then he had like a snare drum, a
Oh, that's
ride,
cool.
and a hi-hat, and he had these type of sticks. I forgot what they call them. It's like the kind where like it's got multiple tips and they're kind of spread out. Um, but he had like some sticks like that, but like they didn't hit the drums really hard, so like the volume was like really really squashed.
It's kind of perfect for
It was
acoustic guitar, and
perfect for that
I
room.
love that. Yeah.
And we ran the bass like direct to the sound system, and
Oh,
it was so like the sound was so manageable, but we had like the dynamic was there.
that's so awesome to have a manageable sound, and to feel it, because I feel like when you do that you strain so much less.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you're not fighting. You're not thinking, because I mean I find when the gain is too loud or there's too many instruments, especially if I'm singing, man, it feels like I have to push too hard.
hmm
So man, it's so cool that you had that experience.
yeah. I would love to do that again now. I mean, that like kind of uh, lit something in me. I was like, I gotta call these buddies up and do this again. So
So they were friends then, or they just
yeah,
kind of showed up at church, or?
yeah. Well, what it was, they had a special guest that night, and the my buddy Corey Carr, he's in the group, so I'm gonna give him a shout out. Corey Carr lives about 40, 45 miles away. He's on the coast in Bay St. Louis, and he came up and brought like we had this special speaker, and he brought the speaker up um, for us. And then there's a guy who's an intern there who plays drums for Corey at his church.
Mm.
And so it just kind of happened. It meshed together, and we had a good rhythm section. Of course, we had Tori on keys, and she sang and did one song. And so,
Is that the one you live streamed?
yeah, I live streamed that the
That
other
sounded
night.
so good. Sounded
Yeah,
great.
that was so much fun and refreshing uh, to do something different. And so I had a blast. So
And you look like you were really into it,
yeah, I mean, how could you not be, right?
for sure.
So I'd love to do that again sometime soon, and I don't know. I may be calling Corey and Reese up, and doing that again soon. So
Yeah, for
who knows?
sure. That's awesome.
So what about you, Nick? I know you've got a lot of something. Well, one big thing that happened today. I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah, so I've been on a little acoustic journey for the last month. I've only mentioned it a couple times on the podcast, but I've played a lot of guitars. And I've kind of realized that out of all the stuff I have, they're all pretty much projects I've worked on. And I didn't have anything that would do a real crisp flat top sound. All of my stuff is kind of a fast attack, quick decay kind of a sound. The resonator's the resonator. I mean, that's just what it is. And I actually have that playing really well right now. It's never played that well. So it's playing and sounding great, but it's a resonator. I got nothing that'll make that flat top sound. So we talked at length about that last time. And I really fell in love with that Yamaha. Well, I hadn't really, that was kind of the first time. It was a nice guitar. And that was the first time I kind of played an all solid wood guitar that I could actually like afford. And I thought, okay, well, I should try some other stuff out. And plus I was talking to you guys about it. You're like, well, let's go play some other guitars. And I did. I went and I played at a Taylor, the AC 10, I believe. And that's kind of like a concert. I played a bunch of concert guitars. I really like that concert body style. So I played that. The Yamaha was a concert style. I was looking at that Guild. I never got a chance to play one, but I heard that the Sapelli Martin Road series was close. They're basically the same guitar. So I went and except it's not quite the same guitar because I think the Guild's mahogany. But I wanted to play a 00015 too. So I went to Guitar Center last week and I played the Road series. I played a Taylor Big Baby. I played a Martin Dread Jr. I played a bunch of stuff, just a bunch of stuff. I played the they actually had a used 0015, the D style though, or not the D style. It was a D. Is it a D15? Is there such a thing?
A D15 would be a dreadnought.
It was a dreadnought.
Yeah, the D15 would be the dreadnought. Yeah, those.
Okay, so go ahead.
Was the big difference is the bracing in a 15 versus a 16, and then if it's got the mahogany top. So the bracing in a 15 is not scalloped,
Mm-hmm.
and then the bracing in the Road series and anything above the 16 are scalloped. The 16 has a hybrid scallop, so that means that the bracing is lighter and lighter as you get higher up, and then on the road.
All right. So this was one of the all brown 15s. So it must have been a 00015, maybe. I don't know.
It can't be a 000 if it's a dreadnought. It's a D.
It wasn't a dreadnought then. It was a 000.
000.
I didn't pay much attention to it, to be honest with you, because I was playing the Road series, and I tried the 2, and the 1 was too subdued, whatever the 15 was, and it was a real like a mahogany sound. And then the other one, the 000 played great. The Road series played great. That one was a concert size Road series and solid Sapelli, and had a pickup in it. Whatever the Martins put the pickup in it, whatever that is. And I didn't plug it in or anything, but that guitar was great. I assumed right then that I wanted that guitar, and I started gassing for Martins. So, I never really talked to Jess about it or anything. We had some stuff come up, so I was like, I don't really want to. I'm just gonna make my guitars play better, and I worked on my resonator and got it to where it is, and I was pretty happy with it. And then, I kind of got the itch today, so I went to Guitar Center again, and right after I had a dentist appointment, so I went to the Guitar Center because it's close by. It's on 28th Street there, and they had. I thought, I think I went in there with the intention of playing that guitar again. And then I know they had some Recording Kings in there. They had a Recording King, and that was all solid woods. And it was marked down quite a bit. And I hadn't really had a chance. The last time I went in there, it was like 15, 20 people in the acoustic room. And that's not a very big room because they were given free lessons that day. If you bought a guitar, you got a free month's worth of lessons or something like that. So, because they turned the whole front of the store into a place you can get lessons. All the accessories and everything, which I thought was really cool, but it brought a lot of people. It brought a lot of people in. Like there's a drum room, and these are all silent. Like they're all like, sectioned off, so they're soundproof. So they had all these little jam rooms, and I thought that was really neat. They had like a guy playing live, and it was really kind of an event, So I went in there, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go play some stuff, and nobody was in there today, so I got a chance to play quite a few. I tried the Recording King Dirty 30. Which is just their solid top parlor. I played the Martin Dread again. I played a something else too. I checked a couple of Yamahas out. I tried an Epiphone. I think I tried some other things. I was just kind of banging around on a lot of stuff. And I went back and I tried the Martin again, and I really liked it. So then after that, I was looking at the Recording King. And the Recording King was just kind of hanging on the wall there, and I really didn't get a chance to tune it up and play slide on it or anything like that. I was just kind of strumming some chords on it. It sounded really good with the chords, so I took it off the wall and I tuned it up, and I started playing on it. And I was like, man, this guitar's got some zip. I'm like, I really like this, and it plays a lot like the Martin. It feels a lot like the Martin. So I took it, I kind of put it back on the wall, and I went and played the Martin, and I was like, no, the Martin's better. So I talked to my wife. I called Jess on the phone, and I was like, I just want a Martin. I think I just want a better guitar. I'm like, I'll sell 2 guitars and I'll get it. Is that okay? And she said, you're going to sell a couple guitars? I said, yeah, I'm going to sell a couple guitars. I'm going to lower away. And I'm like, she's like, well, what does it cost? I said, it's expensive. I'm like, it's like $700. And she's like, okay, well, can you, finance it or whatever? I'm like, yeah, it's going to be about 30 a month, no interest. I said, but I think I really need to do it. And she said, okay, well, yeah, you can do it. I'm like, oh, great. So I'm all ready to check this thing out, and then I go back and I'm like, I want to check that Recording King out again. Well, this time though, okay, so, and Josh, you know how that Guitar Center is laid out? Like there's an acoustic room that's like sectioned off from the rest. That's got good humidity. That's where all their high-end stuff's at.
And then they have the 2 little separate rooms, the classical room and then the high-end room.
Yep, the classical room and the high-end room. And the other room's just where all the kind of low to mid beaters are, and it has a really high ceiling. Well, the reverb in that room is crazy. And I was taking video of myself playing all these guitars, then playing them back to myself. So I'd be like, oh, how did this really sound? How did this sound? Well, the video of the Recording King didn't sound that great, and there was so much reverb in that room because of the high ceiling. I wasn't hearing anything but the reverb.
Yeah.
And then so I took the guitar and I said, I better bring it into the other room, into the acoustic room. And I did, and it sounded like it was a lot tighter. And that's where I'd been playing the Martin, and I put the Martin and that side by side and kind of bounced back and forth. And I was like, I think I like this Recording King better.
Yeah.
And then I got to thinking, that sent me down like, no way. My wife just told me I could buy a Martin. I'm going to buy a Recording King, and then the Recording King, guys, so it's solid spruce top, solid mahogany back and sides, bone nut, bone saddle, X bracing, the whole deal, $229 out the door for this guitar. And I was
That's
like,
killer,
because it was marked down. It was like a floor model. And I was like, $229. Like I was like, that's like a quarter of this guitar.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, I bet you I can get him to toss some strings in or something too. So I'm like, okay, now I got to get the Martin. And I thought about the Martin again. And I was like, is it just the brand I'm attracted to right now? Like, do I just want a Martin, or do I want this Martin, or do I want a different guitar? I'm like, because, a week ago I wanted a Yamaha. I kind of really didn't, I don't really bond with the brand Yamaha. Like, there's nothing about Yamaha that really speaks to me. It's kind of like, a lot of people had an FG when they started.
Yeah.
And have fond memories of it, but it's not like people I don't even know that many people, anybody that plays Yamaha, and I don't really I'm not really attracted to the brand. And Martin, I know so many people. It's the opposite of the spectrum. I know so many people that play Martins that I'm like, what's going on with that? Like, am I a Martin guy? Like, do I want to be a Martin guy? Like, everybody plays a Martin. It just makes sense.
Yeah, I can hear that. I hear you. Yeah, and that's I can actually it's kind of funny. Everybody that I've talked to, my students and stuff will ask me, well, should I get a Martin? Actually, I've had 2 or 3 guys do it. And I say, you know what? Yes and no. There's some of you that should, and the secret thing is that I don't really tell most of my students is that most of my students I don't tell them, but I tell them not to get a Martin because their technique's not there, and and Martins point out bad technique. And so that's the big thing there, is that if like I had one student, just a strumming singing girl, and she talked about getting a Martin, and I said, no, you're more of a Taylor person. You ought to try the Taylors. And she ended up getting a Taylor and loving it. And then two other students ended up getting Martins. One of them probably shouldn't have, and one of them got one, and it fits him perfectly. So yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, it's really interesting. And then others, you know, I try to talk people out of it because, you know, just because I play one or because you see a lot of people play them, they are not for everybody. They're not like, you know, you can almost always get a good sound out of a Taylor, but a Martin will show who you are. You know.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
so the price on that $229, like, was that a special, or that was like the everyday price on that model?
It was a special. Okay. I think it was more like $279 or $3. It was somewhere in there, and they marked it down. I think they marked it down either because they have new Recording Kings coming in, or it was just because we saw those. Okay, so you guys were sending me. Clifton was sending us photos of those new Martin, like triple O, like the new clone of the triple O that Recording King put out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It looks just like, and then they're all about their Torified tops.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that this is just a model that had been there for a while, and they closed it out.
I wouldn't doubt it.
But so was the Sapelli Martin.
Yeah.
That was $699. They're going for $759. So I mean, it came with a case. So I mean, that one was on clearance too. But I kind of was just like, you know, I checked the tuners and everything, and I was like, the tuners feel solid. You know, the only thing I really noticed, I mean, the Martin obviously played a little better. It was cleaner on the fit and finish. Like, this Recording King's got some sharp frets and stuff like that, and I'm going to get it set up. But I figured even with a setup, and it didn't have a pickup, but I can buy my own pickup and get a setup, and I'm still below what I would have paid for the Martin. And I like the guitar. See, what basically sold me on this guitar after sitting down and playing all of them was that and look at the pictures on the Facebook group, everybody, because it's weird. Like, the bottom of the guitar is wide as a dread. Like, it's got a big butt on it. It's a big butt acoustic, but the top's a parlor.
Yeah.
So it doesn't fit in my parlor case. It fits in my dreadnought case. So it's the concert, because of that, it fits on your lap better.
Yeah.
Like, the guitar naturally fits on your lap better, and it's got more low end.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the first things I noticed about the guitar. I'm like, it's really deep sounding. It sounds like a solid wood guitar. It sounds just like anything I've played in here. And I'm like, so how can I justify financing a guitar? And I mean, let's be real. If we're talking dream guitars, it's probably not going to be an $800 acoustic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my dream guitar is not an $800 acoustic. My dream guitar is probably a Mule Resophonic, and it's going to cost me $3,000. I mean, dream guitars are something that are like, you go big, like, you know, Clifton's been playing out longer than me and stuff like that. He's going for his Cower, you know, that's different.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I took a hiatus. You know, I've always bumped around with cheap guitars. Someday, you know, when I'm older, I'm probably going to get a really, really nice handmade guitar, maybe a Mule or a National.
Yeah.
Or probably a Mule. But I mean, if you're talking about an import Martin being your dream guitar, I don't know if
sure.
You know, like, I think I'd get like a $2,000, $3,000 Martin if I was going to get a dream guitar.
Here's the thing, Nick. You're not I really don't think you're a one guitar guy. Some people
I don't think I am either.
Yeah, I think you're a guy that's going to play, like, if you end up playing sets of music, or if you end up writing your own stuff, I think you're going to have 2 or 3 guitars with you. Just because
a U-Haul trailer I am have to rent.
No, I think you're gonna have a guitar the guitar that you can switch back and forth from E standard to D, and you're gonna have a guitar that you're gonna leave in, like, open, in an open E or open something, you know, and you're gonna have those 2 guitars, and then you're gonna have one guitar that has a really good amplified sound, like a really good electric sound that you can grind on,
get some grind and some distortion. You're gonna have a guitar that's kind of clean. You're just gonna that to me that just seems like you. It doesn't seem like you're the type of guy that can sit there and strum one guitar the whole set.
Yeah, and that's funny. 'Cause I always feel like I'm looking for that guitar, but I've never found it.
You're
And
not
I don't
gonna
think
get all
I
the
will.
sounds you like.
No,
You're
I'm
not
not.
gonna be happy with that. You need
I
to
bounce
have a couple.
around. I bounce around. I've always called myself a seasonal guitar player. Like I'll be like all about electric for a couple months, and then I'll be, I'm gonna play a flat top, and then after a while I want to go back to my resonator, and then like I do different. But some stuff I play, like I'll try to play the same stuff on every guitar, and I can't. Like there's some stuff I've made up, like a lot of riffs and things I've made up on a guitar where I try to play another guitar, it sounds terrible. It just doesn't, like there was some things I tried to play on this Recording King that I couldn't do it because there's too much sustain. It's sustaining way more than my resonator is in a different way.
Absolutely.
That resonator's set up to be, it's got a deep sound, but it doesn't have a long ringing sound like this Recording King has got. So it's kind of like, and it was the same when I played that Sapelli Martin. It was brighter, but it didn't have the sustain this one did because the body style was different. Plus it's the spruce on the mahogany as opposed to the solid Sapelli, which is it was way brighter, but it didn't have everything else that this one had. So there was a big difference, and I kept thinking, maybe like these other, like the Martins I'm looking at, the sound profile, I'm more comfortable with the profile or the EQ of it because it's closer to my mahogany resonator. Like when I pick away from the cone, I'm kind of getting that same tone, but it's not bringing me anywhere new. So like I recorded that Dirty 30 and I was showing it to you guys, and I was like, that Dirty 30 sounds like a cheap mahogany parlor, and I'm used to that sound.
Yeah.
You really have to fight it to get it to make some noise. Where this one, you don't hardly hit it. This one makes me want to finger pick all day long. And you can strum it too. Like I had it just tuned as standard, and I was just strumming some chords in the shop, and I was like, wow, this thing, I could strum this all day too if I wanted to. And the fact that I could play slide on it, not adjust the action, and then play standard tuning on it was like, oh, well, I could probably play dadgad on this. I could probably do, I'm probably going to do a lot of finger picking that's without the slide on this guitar.
Yeah.
Just because it rings out better, where if I just normal finger pick on the resonator, it's kind of more of a wash. It's kind of like everything dies a little quicker. But I will tell you this, like you were saying about the Martins, one of the things I noticed right away with this guitar is that since there's more sustain, it'll overwhelm you quickly.
Yeah.
Like if you're really, how I like to let those open drones ring out.
Yeah, for sure.
With little muting. You can't do that on this. This sounds like a hot mess if you let all those chords ring out too long. I need to mute more on this guitar. But that's good. It should make you play differently. If it's a tool, then it should make you do something different. It's another crayon in your box. Like you shouldn't just pick it up and every guitar sounds the same. What good is having multiple guitars then?
Yeah.
But it was really interesting. So the dude comes, this Steve guy thinks he's getting a commission on this Martin. He comes in and he's like, so you buying the Martin? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm talking to my wife. So he leaves. And then I go out to the front desk and he goes, oh, you get that Martin? He goes, what's that? I said, that's a Recording King. And he goes, well, you can buy the Recording King? I said, yeah. He goes, oh, well, maybe that's the one that just spoke to you. And I was like, it did. And I explained to him why. And I was like, look, dude, like the neck feels the same. This plays like the sound is like a high-end guitar. It sounds different than everything else I've played in there. It's more unique. It's more me. It's different than a Martin, which a lot of people just play Martins or Taylors. It's a Recording King. It's different, but they're making really nice stuff. I said, I can't justify spending, $700 on this guitar in here when I've got this guitar at $229 that I am perfectly happy with. That is, the fit and finish it's not at Martin level, but I'm going to get a setup anyway. So what's the point,
For sure.
And the tech came out and I was like, what do you guys charge for a setup? And he's like, well, we charge $50. And he looked at it and he was like, this thing's already got a bone nut and saddle and everything in it. What is this thing? And
really?
He obviously had not seen it. Yeah. And he goes, looked at the price tag. He was like, he's like $229. And I was like, yeah, dude. I'm like, strum that. And he was like, that's crazy. And, it's not like he had to be a salesman. I was already buying the guitar.
Yeah.
So he was pretty impressed. And the one guy came out, and the other guy that's in there that I've never seen before was like, "Oh, those Recording Kings are no joke." He's like, "Those are sweet. We have a lot of those coming in," and they are. I'm really impressed with it. I'm happy with it. I mean, like I said, I can throw another for the same price. I can throw another 100 at a pickup. I could throw another 100 at a setup, and this will be great. It does have some things I need to do. Like I said, the frets are a little sharp on the edges. That's not hard to fix, and it does have a little bit of a dead spot. It's got a high fret on the 8th fret, I think, but I didn't notice it in the shop because I don't fret down there very often. So, I mean, it's got a. I mean, it's crisp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right there. And with a pick, it's. I don't want my wife to get mad at me because my kids are sleeping.
That top is beautiful, man.
It is. That was striking to me, like how I love like the finish on that, like the way it looked. It reminded me of a Martin I had. I think it was the OEM, and it was part of the Road Series, and it had like a very similar finish. That's what's impressive about this guitar, is like, it's like, to me, it's not like playing like a 00028, because obviously that's going to be head over heels better, but like those mid-level Martins, it's heavily competing with them. And for the price, I mean, for the price you would have paid for that full retail, like you can go ahead and get the setup, and it plays like one, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I even like the headstock and stuff. I mean, they kind of took the flat Martin headstock and just put a little wave on it. I mean, that's all they really did. But I mean, it's got, so I guess they got a super thin finish on them, and they're X-brace too. And it's got a satin finish, so the neck's already satined. I don't have to touch anything that way. Although Josh taught me how to satin the neck there with the Scotch-Brite. And now I just keep going back to the guitars and rubbing it down with Scotch-Brite like every time I play.
I'm telling you, that makes a huge difference.
Oh, it does make a huge difference. I'm probably gonna get to the point where I'm not gonna have any finish on the back of any of my necks.
Yeah.
But I really like.
It'll take a long time, but it does.
It feels like more high end when you do that.
Yep.
Like the neck feels more high end. I can't explain it. I don't know if it's because when you buy like a cheap guitar, it's always got way too much polyurethane, and you're like, or it's got way too much finish, and you're just like, this stuff it's crazy. But I mean, this thing, I did put the retros on here, and I like the retros. I'm going to keep retros on this guitar. I mean, it sounds really, really good. I hope I don't clip out too much on this, but I put my picks on too.
Nice.
That sounds almost better without the picks, to be honest with you. It's got a really gentle, it's kind of a beautiful sound to be. It's a really nice sounding guitar.
It really does. And honestly, when I play in my other guitars, I can't even finger pick them because I can't pick loud enough. I mean, that's my.
Is that the resonator?
Nope.
Man, that's just huge sounding, man.
Yeah, this is my bare finger. Yeah, we should go into the Mojo Minute from there.
I hope it's time.
It's Mojo Minute time. So part of the reason why I wanted to get a Martin was because of my Mojo Minute pick today, and that's Roy Rogers. And I'm not talking about Cowboy Roy Rogers, who's awesome. We all like Cowboy Roy Rogers and the Sons of the Pioneers. This guy was actually named after Roy Rogers, but it's Roy Rogers and the Delta Rhythm Kings. And I didn't know if you guys had heard of him before I mentioned it to you, but he was a guy I stumbled upon in my slide journey. When I first heard him, I didn't even know if he was. I thought he was playing a Hammond organ. Like I didn't even think that was a guitar. And I learned more about him, and he's just this. It's obvious the guy, when he plays slide guitar, is trying to emulate an organ. He plays, or a Hammond, with a Leslie. He plays like he's only got 2 pedals. He's got an Arion stereo chorus. You guys know how much I love that one. I need to get one at some point. And then he uses that as a splitter, and he splits that into a Mesa Boogie, kind of like the one Clifton's got, like we mentioned. And then he splits the other one into some kind of a Leslie clone. It's not as big as the Leslie speaker, but it's a motion sound Leslie. And he only uses the Arion because it gives a little bit of a gain boost. So he's running like a lot of that going on. Now, what's cool about Roy, though, is he plays a lot of guitars. Josh, he's that total toolbox player that you're talking about. And it really reminded me. He sees guitars as in one of his interviews with Acoustic Guitar Magazine, he said that it's okay for a guitar to do one thing well, and to have many guitars that do one thing well. And when he bounces around, he's got a double neck. He's got this awesome 12-string resonator National. He's got with a pickup in it with a D-Armond, and he's got he plays a Strat sometimes, but the guitar that really made me fall in love with his playing, that really made me want a Martin or a guitar like that, start playing a flat top again. He's got this Parlor. It's a Martin New Yorker. It's 0016, I think it is. It's a Parlor with a natural finish and a slotted headstock, and it's just got a beautiful sound. But what really makes the sound of that guitar, he can play it acoustic and it sounds awesome, but he bought a D-Armond humbucking pickup that goes in the sound hole, and it looks like an adjustable pole piece covered humbucker. And he just said he did it because of the grounding and because it doesn't buzz. That's why he did it. He bought it. So he's got that in there, and he gave me the model. I think it's or he says the model in the interview, but I can't remember what it is. Well, anyway, so that's kind of his rig, and he uses these strings that he wandered across or found when he was a kid, and they're called Silk and Steel, and they're made by Diodario, I think. And the Silk and Steel, they've got it's like some kind of a silk core, like there's silk wound in it or something like that, and it's supposed to quiet the string down. And it's a really mellow tone, which is kind of like what the retros are going for, Josh. So it kind of reminded me of that. But as busy as he is, I can see why he does it, because it's less streakiness on the slide. And he said the first time he ever used them when he was a kid, he had this Spanish acoustic or this nylon string, and he put the Silk and Steels on there and was playing it with a steel string, and that's where he's been using them ever since. And that's kind of he based his whole sound around these strings. And then he found that Martin New Yorker, and he fell in love with it. And now he's had the same rig forever. And he plays a lot with the harmonica player Norton Buffalo, or did, and his stuff's really good. So if you could check one recording out of him, there's a live recording. It's the only one on Spotify that he has, and it's Roy Rogers and the Delta Rhythm Kings. Otherwise, the only Roy Rogers that's going to come up is Roy Rogers and the Sons of the Pioneers. But yeah, I mean, it's a really, and check it out on acoustic guitar too, because it's a really cool interview. It's an older interview. And he goes through his whole rig, and he's got some just really cool things that he says about music in general and all that. So that really made me want a Martin, and that kind of led me to the Recording King, and I'm pretty happy. I think this is going to get me through for quite a while. And I was telling my wife, I'm like, she goes, "Oh, is that it?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's it." I'm like, It's pretty much what I wanted. It was perfect, and it cost me way less. And we've talked about it before. Funny how we perceive value these days.
Absolutely.
Like, I was all set to buy this Martin for $700 and almost didn't buy this guitar. And this guitar is every bit the guitar at a third of the price.
Yeah.
And I almost overlooked it because it was a third of the price and it wasn't a Martin. It was a Recording King. And had I not seen the price tag of this guitar and just started playing it, I mean, for one, I would have picked it up faster had I not seen the price tag, which is weird in general, right? But we perceive value in what we pay. You get what you pay for. And sometimes there's dogs. I would imagine that this Recording King, you could go in a couple music stores and there could be a complete dog sitting there and it's the same guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can find that in almost anything. So if you find something and it plays good and it sounds good, then it's a good guitar.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. For sure.
I was totally blinded by brand, and I told Jess that. She goes, "You didn't buy the Martin?" I said, "No, I didn't buy the Martin."
That's what I've been sitting here wondering how she responded to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. What did she think when you said, "Oh, it's $229"?
She goes, "Well, that's great. Are you sure that's what you wanted?" And I said, "Honestly, yeah." I said, "I mean, I could have taken it back. I didn't. Like, I could take it back tomorrow. I'm not."
Oh yeah.
So, you know, I'm happy with it. And my dad said the same thing. He's like, "You didn't get the Martin?" I'm like, "No, I didn't get the Martin." I'm like, I think I was just more enamored with Martin in general. I mean, I have the Martin anniversary book, the 100 Years of Martin or whatever. I read it, and you know, and maybe I'll get a Martin someday. But this reminds me of a Martin, though.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, and you know that the way the graining is in that, the way that top looks, that's a nicer looking piece of wood than I've seen on a lot of expensive guitars. That top is nice and tight grained, and it's got that cross grain going through it. That's not that common. And having a nice thin finish like that, man, you can't stop playing it, huh?
Well, I haven't really had a chance to play it because I've been we had swim lessons tonight, so it was kind of like go home, change the strings, put it in the case, leave. Like, I was like, I want to go play it. But anyway, I got to take it in. I'm going to take it to Rainbow tomorrow after work if I can. Maybe not tomorrow, it might be Saturday. But to have him look at that fret, like I said, there's a little buzz in the 7th. I think the 8th fret's high, and then I'm going to have him do a setup on it too. But even if he can't get it, I usually got to get on a waiting list for him. But even if you can't get to it, like I said, I don't really fret much down there. You're never really going to hear it, you know, unless I try to do a chord down there or something. And I wouldn't be playing an open chord on the 7th. So not very often. So yeah, I mean, but something had to be up, right? I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, if you're going to only pay $229 for a guitar, there's going to be something.
Yeah.
But it's a small something. And I didn't even notice it in the shop. So there you go. Like, yeah, anyway. But yeah, that's it, man. I'm a happy camper. No, I was going to say it's kind of funny. Mr. Mojo and the Mojo Minute and Recording King kind of go a little bit more together, I think, than all the other brands. You know, they're really making some cool stuff, and they're kind of a throwback to that old timey stuff I like. So I'm kind of digging the brand.
For sure.
Yeah, well, that's a simple twist of Mojo.
A simple twist. Thank you guys for the help too. I appreciate it. Posting videos constantly and saying, "Hey guys, check this out. Picture. Check this out. Picture. Check this out. Picture."
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, it's been fun.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we're going to go for now, but thank you all for joining in and listening to the Clifton Worley Show. And if you don't mind, just go ahead and follow the show if you like what you hear. And you can find us on Facebook. We've got a group, and also on Instagram. I've been posting a lot of stuff there. And so make sure you stay up to date with what we're doing, and would love to have you join in part of the conversation. So for now, we're going to go, and we'll talk to you guys later.